Hi guys, Forza guy. Welcome back to part 3. So, you're going to join me today removing the headlight, and I'm just going to give you a brief view on how the side panel comes off. Now, obviously you've seen in the videos, obviously the panels just literally fell off. But I'm going to start with the side panel and just give you an idea actually how easy it is to remove these panels. They're not what they seem. Right. So, other than obviously the damage, which you can imagine is just sat there, if you imagine your bike as normal, so basically without trying to make this panel fall off, you basically undo that screw there and you undo that screw there. That's just a little piece of plastic, comes away. So obviously you've got all your trims normally down there, whatever. Now normally under here, see if I can, you might not be able to see it because it's broke, but basically there's one screw in behind there. You just basically unscrew that and literally the rest is just pull clips. Now there is a piece here that interlocks, there's a piece that interlocks here, but basically when you get it you just sort of gently pull the clips back and then sort of slide it backwards a little bit so you don't break the catches. To give you an idea, so that's the bit that normally interlocks sort of in here. Obviously you've got your little pull clips, literally you just pull it and they come out with it. And normally down here, but obviously it's broken off, there is a screw hole, and that is it. That is how you basically remove that, and it's the same for the other side. So easy. Now obviously she is in a bit of a state, but to give you an idea, moving on to the headlight, you've obviously got a screw there, looks like we've got one there. I mean, these are the bits to join this sort of plastic together, and then obviously it's not a good example because it's been ripped out this side, but obviously you would have the same again here. Headlight socket. Now looking at that, I'm hoping the other bit's not disappeared, but you basically squeeze in those connectors there and pull out. So let me just give you a brief pause and I'll take this headlight out. And just like that guys, the headlight is out. Now obviously on a fixed bike you will have, as you can see here, it's broken. You'll basically have screws here. Yeah, there's a screw behind it. Basically just get into that, undo that, and basically that's how the shroud, let me give you a better idea. So that is obviously the actual outer shroud that would attach there and around the other side if that was complete, and then basically the headlight mounts onto that and around the edges. But whilst we're here, I'll just pan back. This gives you an idea what sort of happened to her. I'm just trying to obviously look whilst not looking at the phone. I'm guessing this is obviously bent backwards, hence the dials. So obviously your dials are connected here at the top. What my intentions actually is if I can, I'm not saying I can, if I can remove the brake system later on complete without having to drain it down, I'll try that. What I'm going to probably try and do is, in this video, obviously as I was saying to you, we'll be removing the screen. So when I've got that out of the way, my intentions are, you basically see that bolt there. Now my light's playing me up. There's basically a bolt there and a bolt. Let me see if I can put my light on. Right, can you see that little bolt there straight in front of the camera? Basically those bolts hold that headlight bracket to the actual front of the bike. And my thoughts are, obviously I've got all these wires coming down to the brake unit. What I'm thinking of doing is probably pulling them away from the headlight bracket. If I can sort of lift it off in one piece, that's my intentions. I don't want to take the forks out yet as such, but I suppose if I wanted to, I could crack these stanchion bolt nuts here, and again on the other side with the impact wrench, and obviously I could actually just drop the whole fork system away. But then obviously I'm going to have to find something to prop the front of the bike up if I did that. But overall, when you actually get the front out of it, quite an easy little bike to look at really. This is obviously your steering lock and whatnot. Obviously your seat and fuel cables, which disappear down into yonder. Now I will show you in this video. Now I have taken them off because I had to drain the fuel. Now when you're removing this plastic side trim here, I'll give you an idea how actually easy it is. So you would basically obviously lift your seat up. Now again, let me just grab this panel and I'll show you. Right, so let me see if I can live with the light now. Okay, so imagine you've got your panel. It could be in that Pacific blue colour, whatever colour is on your bike. Now, basically, you think to yourself, well, where do I even start? Basically, you have two push rivets, there and there. You get a small screwdriver, just pop them down, get a little small headed screwdriver, or if you can, wiggle the plastic rivets out, and then basically from here you just pull like on the side panel. There is clips behind it. Now there is a process in doing it when you clip that side off, because you can have the tendency to break the catches, which is not really massive deal. I suppose it is if you've got a new bike, but you want to try and avoid that. And as it pulls away, you'll pull sort of backwards. Now as it comes off, you've got again like those yellow clips that fit into there, and then basically you've got these great plugs that fit into these rubber grommets. And obviously, as I was saying, it is clipped. Let me try and give you a better idea. Can you see what I mean? And it is clipped downwards into them recesses. So obviously you would slide the panel backwards, and then basically that gives you access to that side. Now this is also a good time if you ever get stuck with your fuel cap. So if you obviously applied the same method, to your fuel cap. So let me just lock that. Now as it sits at the moment, thank you light, you know, if you imagine you've locked your seat, you can't get into it, battery, whatever, it's a little bit tricky, because thinking about it, that's your cable to the rear, and you should be able to pull that to undo the seat. So what I would probably suggest is actually, if your seat is actually locked, it's a little bit harder. Basically you've got to go round. Now I did this earlier with Rita. You've got to be cautious when doing it. You can pull, I believe it's this top wire here, and it will unlock your seat. However, if your seat is open, but you, for some reason or another, you cannot physically get to your fuel cap, obviously apply the same method to this panel, plastic rivets, pull it out, and literally to undo your fuel cap, this little thing here, just push as easy as that. Literally as easy as that. Obviously whilst we're here, that's where your horn's located. So yeah, I'm going to pause the video here for the moment, and we'll rejoin you when we remove this screen again. But I think by the end of this video, poor road, little Forza, Sue, whatever you want to call this bike, crash bang wallop, we should probably see the nose actually off the end of this bike, which is going to be it's going to look kind of weird. Right, shall we tackle this screen? Now we have tools. So, to remove the screen, 4 bolts. What size is this Allen key, does it say? No. Right. So, basically, as we would, crack them loose. Watch your fingers. Unwind your screws. I have a washer with them as well. That's not done enough. Undo that one, followed by that one. If you ever wonder why it costs so much to have your headstock bearing done at a garage, this is the reason why. It takes a long time to get anywhere with it. So we are technically free, and this should now pull out of its holes. There we go, on screen. Draw stay. And then basically we are now down to, other than this add-on, the rail system. Now to get this rail system out, again, another time process. That bolt, that bolt, that bolt, that bolt, that comes out. And then there's screws around here, right down there. There'll be some somewhere in there, and it clips in here. I'll come back to the video when I've got all this lot out. Right, after all those screws in whatever, now it's time to remove this front panel. So basically pull up, it is clipped in. Let me make sure I'm looking right here. Yep, it's just clipped in onto, right. Pull in. Another one. Full of screws. All screws. Right. Get that one out there. Let's see what I mean. Now it's ready. They're the littlest screws, but somehow they seem the longest. Right. Voila. Well, the fact that this person has put a load of wires in my way, which we really don't need. Well, this would generally come off. You wouldn't have off for this nonsense. Right. Right, so basically now I've got those cables out, I'll save you the thing, but basically I had to undo this back panel here because it were all wired in. Now, you shouldn't have that problem, but whilst we're talking about this, obviously this is the 2017 with the manual screen, you know, the one you have to pull up yourself. You can clearly see here that obviously Honda was thinking about an electric screen, because there's definitely the provision to apply one. They're just obviously, whether they thought at the time, well, we're going to have a manual for a while and then we'll introduce electric. But yeah, when you open that, you know, that's my thoughts anyway. And it seems to definitely want to accept potentially an electric screen, even though they didn't provide it. But anyway, we're going a little bit off track. So now we've got into the gubbins of it. There's basically there should be a one screw here. There's one screw here. Just having a look. But there's not much holding that, to be fair. Shall we give it a whirl? See if it falls off. Interesting. So, is there a screw to this? Is there a screw? Potentially. But you basically get the gist of that idea. That in a minute is going to come off. And then basically we are going to remove this. This bike appears to have a wire. What's this? It appears to have an alarm system on it. That's going to be interesting. Right. Anyway, join me back when I finally got rid of this and this. Right, so we're down to the nooks and crannies now, so this is going to be an interesting one. I know that is the headlight control unit, I believe, and I'm trying to work out, because this has had an alarm on it, radio remote controller. This is either, this doesn't look like Honda to me, I could be wrong. This could be the remote controller for the alarm. If it is, then it's wired into this, and I'm going to have to really figure it out. I'm going to have a look at the service book. That's going to be a tricky one. So yeah, you can see it snapped straight through headlight bracket, pushed it right back. This is where your headlight actually holds on. The whole of this has just gone back. But as I say, just another update on these mirrors. So you've obviously got a locked captive nut here, and basically it's going to be an interesting one. Got to get some deep sockets into there. So yeah guys, that's basically the nose offer, and this is where I wanted to sort of reach in this particular video. I hope it gives you an idea of what's what. I mean, it's certainly going to be interesting for me now, because I don't want to change the wiring loom, but also I'm going to have to really study hard and do my homework as to which, yeah, meter system, self-powered, alarm. Yeah, this is definitely an alarm system that's been wired into the loom. So I don't think I'd want to keep that. I know it might seem crazy, but I don't. But yeah guys, so I hope that gives you an idea what is literally behind the nose of a Forza. I'm going to now crack on and try and get some of this really removed, and in the next one, I'll give you a little spoiler. We're going to talk about that there. Can you see what I'm talking about? Yes. We will discuss that further with many other parts. So again, join me in part 4 where we tackle the bike a little bit more. Okay, bye.